This first clip is Michael's 10 rules for life. Michael was asked by a multi-billionaire friend of his at a dinner party to write down for his children Michael's best life advice. These are the 10 rules that he came up with that night.
Do you have a mindset that you think has been like the most important mindset for you that's allowed you to succeed? What would you describe that mindset as?
Let me boil it down to 10 observations. I was asked by somebody for advice for his children entering adulthood, and he said, can you just write down your advice for them? And
Sure.
I thought about it, and I boiled it down to 10 phrases. 1, focus your energy. You have limited energy in your life. You think you can accomplish more than you can accomplish. You really can't do 100 things. You might be able to you can't do 10 things. You'll be lucky to do one thing, but focus your energy. The second is guard your time. People are going to actually chew into it, and if you're trying to accomplish something and if you're not thoughtful about your time, it'll be dissipated.
Yes.
The third is train your mind. Train your mind to do whatever it is you've decided, whether it's music or math or engineering or something. The fourth is train your body. You should stay healthy, take care of yourself. If your body breaks down, your mind will follow. Fifth, think for yourself. The world's full of people that are telling you what to think, and they spend their entire life planting narratives and ideas in your head, most of which are dysfunctional, that are self-serving to sell. We didn't have breakfast. People invented breakfast to sell you cereal. Right? When you or I were growing up, there was no ADD. They invented ADD to sell Adderall. Right? Like, stuff happens. So think for yourself and decide whether or not you believe what people are telling you. I think the sixth is curate your friends. You don't need many. You just need a few. Decide who you want to be in your social sphere. The seventh is curate your environment.
Yes.
Where do you want to be? Right? Put yourself in a safe place, a calm place, a productive place. Right? Whether it's controlling what you have in your room or what you have in your house or physically where you live or what country you live in or the like, but curate it. 8, keep your promises. If you make a promise, keep it. If people lose faith in you, they won't help you. They won't trust you ever again. It's just bad karma. 9, stay cheerful and constructive. Right? There's a lot of reasons to get negative, but it won't help. And so whatever you're pursuing, no matter how many cynics and critics come at you, you have to continually, cheerfully, constructively pursue it and not focus upon the negatives, because it just distracts and dissipates energy. And then 10th, upgrade the world, right? Be an engineer, leave the world a better place, whether it's your garden, your house, your product, your book, something, right? In your wake, hopefully you upgrade the world such that someone can trace some improvement to the fact that you existed on this planet.
That clip gives us a sense of Michael's thought process and why he does what he does. I truly believe that Michael wants to leave the world better. Michael was on his friend and fellow MIT graduate Peter H Diamandis' podcast 9 months ago. I'll link the full podcast in the description. In this clip, Peter asked Michael about one of his tweets that read, "I thought I was late to Bitcoin. Apparently not." This is Michael's response, where he goes into his thought process of exactly why he turned to Bitcoin, and he wanted 3 criteria to be met. 1, he wanted to find something that was better gold than gold. He wanted a big tech monopoly, and he wanted something that was underappreciated, and Bitcoin fit the bill on all accounts. Enjoy this clip.
I wake up every morning with you and your tweets. I enjoy your tweets. That's definitely. I love this one from a little bit ago, and it was important and prophetic. You said, "I thought it was late." You said, "I thought I was late to Bitcoin, but apparently not."
Yeah.
And that's one of the important things that I think people need to get. It's not too late to Bitcoin, especially if we have the potential to hit 500,000, $5 million, $10 million of Bitcoin. It's still early in the deceptive phase of its growth.
I thought when Google came public, I was too late. But if you look at the really great successes of our lifetime, Peter, the digital monopolies, the Apple, the Google, the YouTube, the Facebook, these things.
The MicroStrategy.
We thought that we were late to them, but the truth is Google would have been a good idea to invest in, all the way up to like a few months ago. It's still getting more powerful, and you think you've fully embraced Google in the year 2018, but Google was going to get more powerful and surge. And if you thought you understood it in 2020, by 2021, it was more powerful. And the same is true with Apple. And Apple and Google, probably more powerful than most nation states. Same with Microsoft. We thought Microsoft, we understood that one, and Microsoft got more powerful in the past 24 months.
I agree. Who would you rather go to war with as your ally? Google or Greece or Ghana or, it's like you would rather have one of these companies. People think you've been involved in Bitcoin for a decade since, the beginning, because you've become such a strong, both knowledgeable and protagonist on you. But it wasn't. It was just a few years ago. Can you tell the story of what happened that got you excited and gave you, for lack of a better term, religion on this?
Bitcoin represents a paradigm shift. It's the digital transformation of money, property, and energy. And paradigm shifts are so profound that you're staring at them and you don't realize they took place because your worldview is constructed based upon a bunch of assumptions that you've always taken for granted. And so what Thomas Kuhn says in the structure of scientific revolutions and what we study at MIT is there's only two circumstances under which people willingly undergo a paradigm shift. And one way is you wait for the old guard to die. And the millennials they get it because they're different. And Einstein, said God does not play dice with the universe. Einstein never liked quantum theory. You could be a brilliant person, but you won't embrace the paradigm shift while you're alive in the absence of a crisis. The second way you get paradigm shift is a war. When there's a war and there are bombs dropping from above, you don't believe in atomic power, but then someone drops a nuclear weapon and the city evaporates, and all of a sudden you become a believer and you reassess your priorities.
I would posit there's another way, which is when something is 10 times better than anything else. 10 times cheaper, 10 times faster, 10 times better. It's like how I got my mom and dad to go to a digital camera or to use Google or the web, right? It's like when it's that much better.
Yeah, I will say though, even when it's 10 times better, what you have is a commercially successful venture. But for example, Warren Buffett never invested in Microsoft, and Warren Buffett never invested in Amazon, right? Even though it's 10 times better, right? If you have enough money and enough power, you can ignore stuff. My dad didn't use any of the new technology until at some point we gave him a television and YouTube, and YouTube did it. Like, he didn't care about all the other things, but if you can sit and you can talk to the remote and you can stream on YouTube to anything, all of a sudden 80-year-old man decides he loves this now. And so it has to just click.
Yeah.
Right.
So what clicked for you with Bitcoin? When was it? Was it March of, was it?
It's the second quarter of 2020. Okay. The second quarter of 2020. And what clicked was a couple of things. We had a K-shaped recovery. Main Street was shut down. It's pretty, millions of people have lost their jobs. The economy's contracting. And then Wall Street exploded and recovered and hit all-time highs. And what I saw was
6 weeks later, right?
Yeah, financial assets were having the best year ever. People had great years. I mean, a lot of these hedge fund managers, they had the best year of their life in 2020 or 2021. Yeah. And Main Street assets were having the worst year in 30 years. And I had a company with $500 million in cash that was dead money. It was idle. It was generating 0% interest. The Federal Reserve said, we're not going to raise interest rates for 4 years. The company's stock was in the tank. At one point, in essence, when we were going through this, our company was valued at $60 a share in cash and $60 a share in the software business. And that was like 1 times revenue. And so, I looked at the world and I said, if the cash is dead money and if our stock is viewed as dead money, we've got a choice between a fast death, a slow death, or we ride out of the castle and we take a risk. Okay, the fast death is I just give the $500 million back to the shareholders in a dividend or a buyback. Now, I knew that wasn't going to save the company because I'd been buying back the stock for the last 5 years. I bought $300 million worth of stock back or something. And the only thing that would happen would be the stock would go from $120 a share to $60 a share. And then all the stock options, the employees would be underwater. Then all the employees would get headhunted away by Amazon and Google and Facebook, and then we wouldn't be able to compete with Microsoft. And, we compete against a company which has more power than God, right? Microsoft, right? Every company on earth is their customer. They're more powerful than all but about a handful of countries on this earth. And they can do whatever they want, wrap it into their product, give it away for free if they want. So the challenge of giving up the capital was first we'd lose our financial capital, and then we'd lose our human capital, and then we'd have no reason to exist, and the company was going to zero. So notwithstanding whether you care whether a company lives or not, I didn't see it in the interest of my shareholders to watch the stock go to $60 a share and then watch us slide. We'd have to sell the company. So the second strategy is hold the cash. But the cash is, cash trash. Ray Dalio says that. It's generating 0% interest. And the money supply expanded by 20% a year for the past 2 years. You can see it in U.S. single-family homes, which shot up 40% in price. And so if the money's being devalued 20% a year and you're generating 0% interest, you got a negative real yield of minus 20%. And I did the math in my head, and I concluded that pretty much the $500 million in purchasing power would be cut into $250 million of purchasing power in 36 to 48 months. So that's a slow death. I could use cash to pay my employees, but ultimately we were sitting and mired, and so that doesn't work. And so in that situation, we decided we should do something transformational. And and if you went into a Harvard B School class and corporate strategy said, "What are you going to do?" The investors want the cash back. You can't generate a yield on the cash. The company needs to grow. Well, the answer is you do a transformational acquisition. So if I could have bought VMware, or if I could have bought WhatsApp, or if I could have bought Snapchat, or if I could buy like a super high growth digital monopoly or some moonshot thing that would go to the sky, then yeah, maybe that saves the company. But those are few and far between. Most of the time, these acquisitions that you do are dilutive. And I knew they're dilutive because, like, Pete, it's not my first rodeo. I lived through this. I invented, I launched 12 different product lines to grow the business, and there were singles and doubles or whiffs. And I know that just innovating won't always help you. And then I bought the stock back, and I knew that didn't work. And then I spent hundreds of millions of dollars on sales and marketing to expand the business, and that didn't work. And so then I watched all my competitors, Business Objects, Cognos, every company. I watched them do acquisitions to try to grow, and every one of them failed. In that strategy, there was a 99% mortality rate.
Wow.
The reason we're the biggest independent business intelligence company left is because the other 100 all went private, got bought up, got amalgamated, and sucked into the bowels of IBM and Oracle, and then dismantled over the course of 20 years. So I kind of knew, I tried everything for a decade. I knew it wasn't going to work from first observations. So I thought, well, what if I could find a digital gold, which was better gold than gold, something that is better than gold, but also a big tech monopoly. And here are my three criteria. I want it to be a better gold than gold. I want it to be a big tech monopoly, and I want no one else to appreciate it. I want it to be underappreciated. And that's what Bitcoin was in the second quarter of 2020. No one thought it was an institutional asset. Even though Amazon stock had doubled in the second quarter, Bitcoin was trading about the same as it had been trading in 2018 or 2019. It got up to 10,000, it had smashed down to 4,000, it was back at 10,000. So I looked at it and I said, well, based on all the information, you would think that a digital property network or a global digital money network is more valuable, knowing that people are losing confidence in currencies, losing confidence in central banks, losing confidence in governments. And this is a non-sovereign, open, decentralized system. So it struck me that the fundamentals were good,
you would think
but it wasn't appreciated.
Yeah.
So we're there, and we have to take a risk. We literally have to, or we got to sell the company, right? We're done one way or the other. And I said, well, this is a reasonable risk because it looks like the Facebook of money or the Google of money in the year 2010 or 2011. While 98% of the world doesn't understand it, it's a bit too complicated. They're afraid of it. But just because you don't understand it doesn't mean it isn't true. It just means... Right. And I had the experience of riding the mobile wave. Yep. And I'm the guy in 2011 that bought Amazon, Apple, Facebook, and Google stock, and they all worked out well. And I thought, the year's 2020, we're at the end of the mobile wave. I tell a funny story in the mobile wave about my niece on a beach, and she's like, 8 years old, and she wants the Big Apple. And I said, oh, you want to go to New York City? She's like, give me the Big Apple for my birthday. And I said, you want to go to New York City? She goes, no, I want the iPad. And I thought, okay, little girl wants an iPad. That means that the entire world wants this, and this is going to be a big deal, so buy Apple stock. Well, in 2020, I'm talking to the same niece. And I said, what do you think? And she goes, yeah, well, I just bought some Amazon stock. And like Amazon's trading at like $3,300 a share, and it just doubled. I'm like, okay, well, if 20-somethings now know they should buy Amazon and Apple and Google, this is not a misunderstood technology trend anymore. Every Uber driver understands that.
This is like the 2001 .com bust, where every taxi driver back then was telling you what .com stocks they were buying.
So get off the mobile wave, get on the crypto wave, and think that through. So that kind of made the decision straightforward. It wasn't without risk, but the alternative was pretty much throw in the towel and just either get beat to death fast or beat to death slowly. And so we got into this business at that time, and of course, the last 2 years have been, I think, fairly good ones in terms of commercialization, institutionalization of digital assets.
Yeah, this was the number, right, since August 10th of 2020 when you adopted Bitcoin. MicroStrategies has outperformed 97% of all S&P 500 stocks. Congratulations. That's amazing.
It is amazing that he's only been in it 3 years. August 10th, 2020 was his first big buy. Amazing, amazing.